A very warm welcome to all the viewers of Ticker Market. So in today's market interaction, we have a very special guest. He is Mr. Deepak Jasani, Head of Retail Research at HDFC Securities. Sir, welcome on Ticker Markets. So as we are talking about Indian markets and road ahead, but I would like you to begin with the concerns on the rupee front that we are facing as of now. The volatility in rupee vis-a-vis the other currencies. What do you think? So where this will end?
The rupee has been one of the worst performing currencies in the Asian region in the present calendar year, as all of you are aware. We will have to look at it from two different perspectives. One is that on a real exchange rate, rupee was overvalued by about 20% over the last year or so.
Exactly.
So now it is now getting back to the normal in a sense. And secondly, we will have to look at rupee not from just rupee US dollar basis, but also from a rupee to trade weighted average. So in that sense, if you look at it from that perspective, rupee has not depreciated to that an extent, and this has helped keep rupee competitive. The exports also competitive so far. From a rupee dollar rate perspective, we have depreciated a lot. And going by the global developments, we may depreciate a little more. But I think over time, the rupee will come back to around 68, 69 levels unless we see a very big issue on the global front.
Sure, as we are talking about rupee and its impact on the Indian markets going ahead, but markets are at record high. There are few blue chip stocks that have done really well in terms of Reliance Industries, L&T, and we have seen IT sector performing really well from here on. So what's your advice to retail investors?
So now retail investors, we interact with them a lot. So now most of them are happy with the index value. The index is at an all-time high. But if they look at their portfolio values are not at the all-time highs because they have a mix of stocks. A lot of mid caps and small caps, and even among the large caps, they don't own the heavyweight stocks. So that is why they are a bit disappointed with this rally. We have been advising clients to restructure their portfolios. If they are sort of overweight on mid and small caps, then they should bring down that weightage and sort of bring the large caps weightage higher. That is something that they can do. They can also, within the categories, they can reshuffle their portfolios, performing versus non-performing based on the recent results as well as the development.
So we are talking about Indian markets and road ahead. We will definitely discuss about the sectors in details as we progress in the interaction. But I just wanted you to highlight about top two concerns from the global market and road ahead.
See, globally, I think
the trade war concerns
are there. They will keep erupting every now and then because of President Trump's pronouncements every now and then. It is slightly unpredictable.
Its India impact?
India's impact will be limited. If at all, I think India will benefit over the medium term. Immediately there may be jitters, there may be nervousness, there may be a little sell-off here and there. But over the medium term, if he sustains those kind of barriers, then probably India will benefit out of it.
So a downside is also predicted. We have been seeing domestic mutual funds have been really aggressive in terms of building positions and as we see that quarter on quarter their positions are really building up really well. What do you think so that this support for the market going ahead will help?
Yeah, so that is a good thing for India, and that is also something we worried about because now SIP flows and lump sum flows have been quite strong so far. Lump sum flows are sort of fluctuating from month to month, but SIP flows have remained very strong. Now the SIP investors will keep evaluating their returns after a year or two. So if if they come to a conclusion that the SIP investment is not yielding them sufficient returns, then probably they will relook. They may halt some of the SIPs, and the new SIP formations may also slow down.
Sure.
So that is something to be to be tracked very closely. The domestic flows,
Perfect.
FPI flows, I am not so concerned.
In very quick manner, we'll talk about these sectors, that retail investors should focus in. But to begin with, the highest weightages banks and the NPA concerns as of now seems to be peaked out. What's your opinion about it?
Yeah, in banks or in the BFSI space, there are 2 or 3 categories. One is private sector banks, which are doing well, which will keep doing well from these levels. Expecting a very big return may not be very
topics?
practical. Then the second side is the PSU banks, and within private sector, okay, we have corporate lenders and we have retail lenders. Retail lenders are adequately valued.
Sure.
They will give us high single-digit returns.
Right.
Corporate lenders there is an expectation of a turnaround. So
Sure.
there is some opportunity.
Perfect.
There we can have a staggered kind of investment.
Okay.
PSU banks, you can trade in them based on the pronouncement.
So we are talking about Indian markets. What's your take on the IT sector? Because this is the sector that has performed really well. We have seen Infosys has announced a huge buyback of 9,000 odd crores and at a decent premium. So what do you think? So this sector, what's your expectations from the IT sector going ahead?
See, IT sector has recovered quite smartly over the last year or so, and most of the concerns which people had are now getting resolved. But from now, from the current levels, expecting high double-digit returns is slightly aggressive. So
Any
maybe
picks?
in the IT space, I think Infosys is the best pick.
All right.
It has its own set of problems,
Sure.
but they will come over it.
Is there any mid-cap IT stock that you have identified for the investors?
Mid-cap IT generally are more expensive than large cap, so I think we will wait for a correction there.
Any concerns, or you're asking retail investors to avoid the sector?
No. This sector has you have to have your presence in this sector. The
Sure.
percentage of weightage will keep depending on how beaten down the sector,
Sure.
how bullish is the sector.
How happy are you with the pharma sector? Is this the time to build on positions in the pharma sector and your top picks in the pharma space?
In pharma, we feel that the sector has bottomed out, but the upside between the stocks will differ from stock to stock because everyone has a different model, different dependency on the US markets, on the generics market, on the local markets. So in that sense, we will not see a uniform rise across stocks. So there among the large caps, we like Sun Pharma and Lupin.
All right. Okay, going ahead, what's your take on the infra theme, which the Modi government is truly optimistic about? Any topics in that segment?
So infra theme mein, I think one can only play the basic raw materials, the steel and the cement and the aluminum.
Sure.
Playing on the road sector or the other infra play is, I think, is a little tricky.
So you are asking investors to avoid the sectors?
Yeah, it's better to go to the material sector rather than the infrastructure sector.
Any topic in the material space?
Nothing comes to mind offhand.
All right. So if there is any other stock you wanted to highlight, so that retail investors can, or any other potential multi-bagger from here on.
Multi-baggers are very tricky at these levels. Now we have come out with a report on Z 2 days back, and we have all our picks listed on our website, so one can go and visit that. And
sure, thank you. One last advice for the retail investors: what they should do, because markets are at all-time high. They are invested in mutual funds, or is there any special advice you wanted to give to the retail investors?
The main advice would be that don't get carried away either side. In bearish times, don't cut your equity exposure aggressively, and in bullish times, don't up it very aggressively. Try and keep a balance, and try reweighting and rebalancing your portfolio every quarter or every 6 months.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chief.
I have a disclosure. So whatever stocks we have discussed, my relatives and my company may be deemed to be interested in that, although we don't own any shares.
Thank you so much, Chief, for talking to us. Ticker Markets team is very thankful and grateful to you. Thank you so much.